Good evening, I'm Victoria Weather Meteorologist Ryan Henning with a look at Spokane, Washington for today's forecast. Spokane is in the Spokane Valley of all places, along the Columbia River. Beautiful town, and it seems like any time I've seen it, I've never been downtown, but I've been on the outskirts, and I'm always looking down at the town. And this angle, I don't think it's even from like a helicopter. I think it's just from a nearby suburb on one of the mountaintops. You can see mountains in the background, and that's just kind of how Spokane is. It's a beautiful valley town in eastern Washington. Um, and the topography is really going to play with the forecast as we go forward into looking ahead to the weekend. So just to the west, so here's Spokane, GEG, I'll highlight it. I didn't turn the hover on, but you can see the two asterisks under the 33-degree temperature reading indicate some snowfall. It's very light. There's some up in the chimney there in Idaho, but it's very dry in the Central Valley down towards Yakima. It's 41. But then once you get towards Stampede Pass on the Cascades, it's snowing again, and it's cloudy out towards the Olympic Peninsula. That's a pretty standard pattern for Washington. You get all your precip out in western Washington from the Cascades on down towards Puget Sound and the Pacific Coast. Then in the middle of the state, it's practically a desert, and then once you get towards Spokane and Idaho, you approach the Rockies and you get a little bit of precipitation, but not nearly as much as you get out in the western part of the state. But that's kind of what we've got going on right now, and we can see that really demonstrated on the radar imagery. You can see a lot of precipitation from the Seattle radar moving into the Cascades and then just kind of coming to a halt, and then again out towards the Olympic Peninsula. But there is this smattering of precip. This is all light snow from northeastern Washington down towards Butte and Bozeman and western Montana. Missoula is in there if you're interested in Montana geography and wanted a shout out for your favorite town. This is all more part of a pipeline of moisture coming in off the Pacific. It's not a particularly well organized system yet. We can look at the jet in the region because that's going to be a little bit more instructive to us. Because if we look at the pattern, it doesn't look like much of anything. There is a weak area of low pressure up in the Gulf of Mexico, but really in the Pacific Northwest, you're not going to ever find that good structure like you're going to find in the plains, just because there's too much topography and the change from the cold Pacific into the tumultuous terrain of the Pacific Northwest. It's just too much for it to hold together and really show up very well on isobars. And so that's what we're looking at. Going forward, however, you can see a pretty good area of low pressure developing west of Oregon there. That's looks like about 1,000 miles off the coast. Maybe not. I'm bad at judging. Probably between 500 and 1,000 miles off the west coast. And this is going to be tomorrow morning, or yeah, it's going to be morning out in Washington. We still have that flow of moisture. You can see there's a little bit of a tail of a jet moving into Oregon and western Washington. But as this approaches and loses its organization, the jet aloft, it's not even going to be really troughing where that low is. It's just going to be pumping in mid-level moisture into the Pacific Northwest. And this is going to be by early Saturday morning. So it's going to get increasingly intense as we get towards the weekend. Then it's really going to be precipitating. And there is a little bit of an upper level ridge, so it's going to start as snow. It will be cold enough as the day begins on Saturday, but it's going to get a little bit warmer as the day goes on. We'll switch over to the NAM where we've got enough hours in the forecast. And then there's an even bigger, vaster system over the Gulf of Alaska, which is really going to start driving that warmer air mass north. It's going to lag a little bit warming up, but the important thing is at the upper levels, there's going to be a little bit of a warm layer. So any snow that you're going to start with on Saturday morning in Spokane is going to switch over to rain by the end of the day. But you can see just how intense that moisture is forecast to be. Both the NAM and the GFS have quite a bit of precip in there. That's going to accumulate fairly quickly. It's going to be very wet snow. It's going to be hovering around freezing. But I wouldn't be surprised if you saw a couple inches of fresh snowfall in Spokane on Saturday morning. Um, but temperatures are going to dance around the mid to upper 30s both tomorrow and Saturday. The most recent model runs have actually increased temperatures for Saturday, particularly the NAM. Going a little bit warmer, closer to 40. The GFS is actually going the other direction, getting a little bit cooler, down towards 35. The forecast outlets, when I was cobbling together their forecast earlier today, were kind of hedging towards what the current NAM solution is. But they did like the consistency that the GFS has over the next couple of days. So they went more upper 30s. I did too. I was on the cool end. And part of that is because I'm just out west. I'm more of a believer in the GFS. In the middle of the country, along the East Coast, the NAM is the way to go for me anyway. The Gulf Coast especially, but out west, you gotta hit that GFS hard. And you can kind of see some of the difference in forecast as well. GFS goes 2 inches of snow, and the National Weather Service goes all the way up to 3. So there is some difference of opinion. It's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. Spokane is a tough forecast, so don't be surprised if something wonky goes on. I think the most likely scenario is a lot of that moisture gets trapped by Mount Rainier and Mount Hood and all the other Cascades, and it's just too sunny, and it ends up being in the mid 40s or something like that. Or the clouds don't fill in overnight and it plummets and it gets much colder. In that case, I could definitely see more snow, maybe 3-4 inches. Get the snow level a little bit lower. I saw reports that just some of the upper analysis thought 2,500 feet seemed like a good estimate for the snow levels. Maybe you bring that down another 1,000 feet and it's all snow, closer to the mean sea level. Obviously, Spokane's a little bit above sea level, but you know what I'm trying to get at. So we'll see how it all plays out. It's going to be an interesting verification. But I hope you enjoy your evening and enjoy this forecast for Spokane, Washington. Again, I'm Victoria Weather Meteorologist Ryan Henning. You can visit our website, victoria-weather.com. Request a forecast or reach out to us on Twitter. I'm at VIC_WX. And request a forecast, and we would love to hear from you. Thank you again.